You're just bought into another dimension. A dimension not only of bad beats and busted draws, but of decisions so bizarre they defy logic. You've crossed into a land where min raises spell doom, and a four-way all-in with queen high makes perfect sense. You've stepped out of reality and into the absurd, the unpredictable, the unexplainable. You've just pulled up a seat to the low-stakes zone.
We're going to pick up the second half of this session with a PLO double board bomb pot. One of the other changes the Barrell has instituted with their lowering of the max buy-in is also a $200 cap on PLO bomb pots on the 1-3 games. I think they're really just trying to protect people from themselves and make the game more appealing to the casual player. I'm in the under the gun position and I look down at a King 8-8-3 double suited clubs and diamonds. We go straight to a couple of flops. Queen Jack 10 with two clubs on the first board, King 6-3 rainbow on the bottom board. So I've got a club flush draw on the top and top and bottom pair on the bottom board. Probably good enough to continue at this point. The small blind position bets out for $25, gets 4 callers, and we're going to go see turns 5 ways. The top turn is the 8 of hearts, giving me a set, but on a very connected and wet board, and the bottom turn is the 7 of clubs, bringing in a backdoor flush draw for me there. Both the blinds check, and I decide to bet out for the cap of $170. I like my top and bottom pair on the bottom along with the flush draw. I'm probably going to need to hit a flush draw up top to take that half, but with so many players in the pot, I'm figuring probably get 1 or 2 callers and I'll end up splitting up the pot, and that's fine. I do get called by both the low jack and the big blind, so I'm hoping I'm good for at least half of the board. The top board is a deuce of hearts, which is an absolute brick there, probably not feeling too good about that one, and the bottom board pairs the 7, bringing a 7 of hearts, so I missed both of my flush draws. The low jack shows a straight on the bottom board, so he's going to be good on the bottom, and the big blind shows 2 pair on both boards, so my set is actually going to sneak in and win half the pot right there. I end up taking down a $138 profit on a hand where I missed my draws, so that's not the worst thing in the world. And the upswing is continuing. In this next hand, action folds around to me in the low jack when I look down at ace jack offsuit and raise it up to $15. The cutoff and the big blind both call me and we're going to go to a flop 3 ways. This cutoff player had been playing fairly loose and passive most of the night. I really wasn't too worried about him. The big blind guy was pretty snug and really wasn't much of a concern. If he ends up out flopping me, I'm sure I'll hear about it soon enough. Flop comes ace 10-5 with a couple of spades, so I do have top pair, decent kicker. Big blind checks to me. I continue small for $15, want to keep all the draws in there at this point. The cutoff calls pretty quickly and the big blind folds. Usually when someone calls quickly like this, they're sitting on some sort of draw. Obviously the flush draw is there, there's also some gut shots to Broadway, and maybe even a 2-3 or 2-4 type of hand, but I would hope this guy isn't that loose calling pre-flop raises with the absolute bottom of the deck. But it's 1-3, you just never know. The turn brings the 5 of clubs. I feel like this is a good card because it does give him 2 pair, and if he's in there with an ace rag type of hand, ace 4, ace 7, something like that, he now has a 10 for his kicker, and he might be thinking we're chopping. I bet small again for $30, and again he calls me pretty quickly. I'm beginning to feel more and more like he's on some sort of draw. The river pairs the ace, and now I've got a big full house. It does kind of suck if he's in there with an ace rag now because we do end up chopping. I'm going to stick with my read. I feel like he was on some sort of draw and I want to give him the chance to bluff at this hand. I check and he checks behind and shows the king 3 of spades for the nut flush draw. My read was correct, but unfortunately I couldn't get him to take a stab on the end. I do win a nice $76 pot though. We've been having a fairly loose and friendly game and I decided to put on the under the gun straddle. The low jack, high jack, small blind, and big blind all call the $5 and I check without even looking. And then I look and I see pocket jacks. I'm already kicking myself because I know I should have raised this. This hand just does not play well against 4 other opponents. Flop is king jack 9 with a couple of spades, so second set isn't the worst thing in the world. I might actually be able to pull down a nice pot. Small blind checks before the big blind leads out to $15. This is the best thing I could have hoped for because now I can put in a big boy raise, push out all of the draws hopefully, and take down a decent pot with my jacks against the big blind, who is a loose goose if there ever was one. Low jack folds and the high jack then jams for $220, and all of a sudden this isn't quite going according to plan. And before I can even wrap my head around the fact that I'm facing an all-in, the small blind jams for $140. And now the big blind is tanking, trying to figure out if his hand is actually good. I mean, he put in $15 and 3 of his opponents said, no, let's all play for more. And he's trying to figure out whether or not he's good. If you're not fist pump jamming at this point, you're probably not good. I have second set and I'm not too excited about it, but I know I have outs. He finally finds the fold. I flip in the call and I ask around, does anybody got Queen 10? And nobody volunteers the information right away, but then it turns out Hijack does in fact have Queen 10. The turn is the 6 of diamonds and I literally bribe the dealer, telling him I'll give him $50 if he pairs the board. Apparently he hates money as he rolls off the 7 of spades. I lose the side pot to the nut straight, and the small blind has the Queen 4 of spades and actually makes a flush. So I came in third place by flopping a set. A little bit of a step in the wrong direction, but I feel like I might be able to regroup if I can catch some more cards. It's getting pretty late into the night, around 1:30 in the morning. We're playing short-handed at this point. There's an under-the-gun straddle on for $5, and I look down at pocket 6s and the low jack. I bump it up to 15 and the hijack, big blind, and under the gun straddle all call. Flop is Queen 6-5 all diamonds, so kind of a good news, bad news kind of thing for me. Both the big blind and under the gun check, and I bet out small for $20, which is pretty standard on a monotone flop like this. The hijack calls before the big blind check raises me to $60. I don't know what to make of this raise right here, but I'm not going anywhere at this point, so I'm definitely going to call and evaluate. Maybe the board can pair, and that'll be a good thing. I call the 60 and the hijack gets out of the way, and we're going to take a turn heads up. A 4 of spades on the turn brings in the obvious straight draw of 7-8, so there's more things now that are beating me. The big blind leads out for $65. For this price I really can't go anywhere. I have 10 outs going to the river, and I know they're all good. The river's the 9 of hearts, so that really doesn't change a whole heck of a lot. I think if I was good on the turn, I'm probably good on the river. He leads out for $70 on the end, and for this price against this particular opponent, I definitely cannot fold. I flip in the call and tell him if he's got a flush, he's got a nice hand. He says he does not have the flush. I show him my 3 of a kind, and it's good. So I'm not sure exactly what he had, but we're going to take it down anyways. About 10 minutes later, I'm in the cutoff with ace-jack offsuit. A loose goose and under the gun raises it up to 15 before I call. This is a speculative call at best. Normally I would fold ace-jack offsuit for a raise, but this guy has a really wide range and I figure I can outplay him after the flop. Both of the blinds come along as well, and we're going to see a flop four-handed. Ace 8-4 with a couple of hearts, so not the worst thing in the world. Top pair, backdoor flush draw. I like where I'm at right now. Under the gun continues his aggression and bets out for $30. I'm not going anywhere with an ace at this point, so I call the 30. Both the blinds fold and we're going to take a turn heads up. Turn is pretty much a brick with the 7 of diamonds, and he just rips it in my face for his last $123. Something about his mannerisms just told me that he's strong right now. This is the same guy that I got with the set on the monotone board the hand before, but the way he's acting, I just feel like he's got a real hand right now. Combine that with the fact that the only hands I'm really beating are ace 9 and ace 10, and there could even be a flush draw out there. I just feel like right now he's got it. These are the kinds of spots I'm really trying to find more folds in, and I feel like I'm not giving up a lot of equity right now by tossing this hand away, even though the solvers say it's probably a call. I show him the good ace, and I toss it in the muck. He disgustedly flips over top set of aces.
Not today, Satan.
And it looks like I made the right decision and only lost $45. Winding down towards the end of the night, and this is the last hand we're going to go over. We're playing shorthanded once again, and there's a $5 straddle on. The cutoff calls, and I actually look down at my hand before deciding how to handle this straddle, learning the lesson from the pocket jacks earlier. I see pocket 9s and I bump it up to $20. The straddle and the cutoff both call, and we're going to see a flop 3 ways. Ace King 9 rainbow. This is the absolute dream. Flopping a set with the ace and a king out there. If anybody's got a piece of the top of this board, I'm going to get a lot of action. The hijack and cutoff both check to me, and I continue right out for $25. No reason to slow play. People are going to call down with their aces, their kings, possibly even Broadway draws. The hijack folds, but I have my customer in the cutoff as he flips in a quarter, and we're going to see a turn heads up. The turn is a 6 of diamonds, and I feel like this is really a nothing card. It does bring in a backdoor flush draw, but I really don't feel that's too relevant right here. If my customer has a good ace, he's going to go. If he doesn't, I'm probably going to lose him at this point, but I have to keep betting. I go for a half pot size bet of $60, and he again calls pretty quickly. The river is a beautiful ace of diamonds. I really don't feel like he's got a better boat than me. I'm pretty certain he has trip aces, and I don't think he's ever going to get away from the hand at this point. I jam all in pretty quickly, and he goes into the tank. He says he really wants to call, and you know what? I think I want him to really call too. Pretty sure he has a hand like ace 7, ace 6, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe ace 10. He wanted to get to showdown cheap, but I'm not going to let him. And I don't think he's really capable of folding trip aces. He finally flips in the call, and surprisingly shows me the king jack of diamonds for the nut flush, so that was definitely an action card right there. I do show him my full house, and his whole stack comes my way. This gives me a nice $450 win on top, and gives me a really nice win for the session.
Heading home after a nice long session at the Barrel, put in about 8 hours. Ended up winning $1440 on the session. I feel like overall I played pretty well. There was a couple of spots early on that I talked about in the mid-session update where I could have found a fold, I think. But I started finding some folds later on, and there was one hand with I had ace-jack on an ace-high flop, and this opponent moved all in on the turn, and he's got a really wide and wild range. He could have pretty much anything there, but I just felt like in that particular situation, especially with this pre-flop raise, that ace-jack wasn't really playing that well. To be honest, ace-jack offsuit probably isn't playable for a raise normally, but I was in position, and against this particular player, he does have a very wide range. So I thought it was a marginal call. I saw a flop, but I was able to get away from it. He actually showed me he flopped a set of aces. So it was a good time to make a good laydown. That kind of hand, even though I didn't really save a whole lot of money, it was only at 125, I think, to call. That can build some confidence going forward, just realizing these are the folds I need to make, and I'm capable of making them. The very last hand where I flopped a set of 9s and rivered a boat when the ace paired, I really like how I played that one. Went for the big home run, almost an overbet on the end. A lot of times I just kind of try to squeak out a little bit of minimal value, but I felt like he was calling me down with an ace, and I had him the whole way. I'm pretty certain he didn't boat up on me, so it was a good time to go all in. He hummed and hawed and finally ended up calling me with a nut flush, so he was a little stronger than I thought he was. And yeah, took a nice stack off him there at the end. Overall, a great session. I'm not sure if I played my A game, but I would give it a strong B+. And it's nice to book a win, to be honest with you. I think I can officially declare the downswing over. This sort of session can really help build some confidence. And when I'm feeling confident, I feel like I can just make better plays. Going for thinner value, making the big laydowns when I have to. And, success begets success in poker. So overall, happy with how I played. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.